This is the first time in a while I've been confused by an article, but I'm gonna give it a shot. White fans were entertained by black athletes a day after a racist killed black people in Buffalo. This is what white supremacy looks like. You can be sure that Jason Tatum and Chris Paul have more than Game 7 wins and losses on their mind after this weekend. Sports only serve as an escape from society if you're white. Not true. A long time ago in 2020, this country was in the midst of what white America deemed a racial awakening. The fact that they called it that was all the proof anyone needed to realize that it was less of an awakening and more of an oxymoron. But yet, here we are, 3 years post that awakening, and everything is back to business, as if Nancy Pelosi taking a knee in Kent cloth and all those DEI workshops that were held at your job magically fixed hundreds of years of racism. And to that, I'll say absolutely, because what does a bunch of people getting on their knee wearing garb that's not theirs, cultural appropriation might I add, is going to do to fix all the problems we got in society? And if you don't believe me, both of Sunday's Game 7s were proof that the awakening was only a brief moment of pseudo accountability that's passed. In the bubble, when the NBA had Black Lives Matter on the floor, players had social justice slogans on their uniforms, and Adam Silver was allowing, think about that for a second, black people to kneel because the police love shooting black people. The NBA and the WNBA were prioritizing the humanity of their players. There was even a boycott of a playoff game, which caused the entire sports world to come to a halt as players finally saw just how much power they have. But that was then, and this is now. Players aren't getting asked how they feel about things outside of the 94 feet after games as much. It's as if basketball, or whatever sport they play, is all that should matter to them. Sideline reporters aren't asking them about Roe v. Wade or if their loved ones are scared to go to the grocery store like they used to. On Saturday, the latest evidence that hate and racism are learned behavior was on display when an 18-year-old white man, yes, a man, not a boy, put on his tactical gear and drove hours to a black section of Buffalo, New York to kill black people with an assault weapon that had the word written on it. 11 of the 13 people he shot were black. On Sunday, 4 teams played in 2 Game 7s. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics were up first, followed by the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks. 3 of the 4 head coaches are black, along with the overwhelming majority of those teams' rosters. However, in Boston, where one of the games was played, over 52% of the population is white. And in Phoenix, where the Suns were the host, over 68% of the residents are white. What does this mean? That a day after Black America was shaken to its core because we've now realized that a grocery store on our side of town has become the latest place where we could be killed just for existing, black players from the Celtics, Bucks, and Mavericks and Suns had to play in a winner-go-home game to advance to the conference finals despite the feelings that all of us were experiencing, and yet no one seemed to care or ask them about it. It was clear that basketball mattered, but not black lives or the black psyche so much. Things intensified on Sunday when there was an initial report that a gunman had showed up at a black church in Buffalo where the governor, state attorney general, and other local officials were in attendance. And while the facts of that incident were eventually made clear and rumors debunked, it was a triggering moment for many. Let's not forget that Charlottesville happened twice, or that Dylan Roof walked into a black church just to shoot up a Bible study, and despite how Republicans may want you to remember it, January 6th wasn't overblown. Never forget that Kyle Rittenhouse is a free man. Let me pause it right there, because I saw this a lot when that Buffalo shooting happened. Kyle Rittenhouse didn't shoot 3 black people. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't out there wanting to shoot a bunch of black people. He defended himself against 3 white people, 2 of which are not innocent human beings in any capacity. Does that warrant them being shot? No, but let's not sit here and pretend Kyle Rittenhouse was just walking around and he saw a bunch of protesters and he said, oh, it's open season today. No, and guess what? In the court of law, they proved it, and now he's a free man. And all y'all barking saying, oh, this is white supremacy, you clearly have never been in a situation to defend yourself, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. So many times in just the last few years, there's been nerve nerve-wracking incidents that have left Black America even more paranoid than we've always been. And while everybody else gets to move on, we're still left with dealing with the trauma despite how it might not always show itself on the outside. So if you ever see us tense up while driving when we see police, or wonder why our sanctuaries have security, or why we tell each other to be careful when somebody is going out, even if it's just to run an errand at the store, it's because this is what we have to do to survive on a daily basis. We never get to fully exhale and let go. And despite how well Jason Tatum and Grant Williams played Sunday in Boston, or how Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie stepped up on the road in Phoenix, just know that they did despite what happened to people that look like them on Sunday. Because when you're a Black athlete in America competing at the highest level as a form of entertainment to the rest of the world, all the while knowing that the majority of the people that cheer for you don't think your life matters, may be the hardest part of the game that you work at, a reporter will never ask you about. And I just gotta say, all of that was a crock of bull. If we go sit here and pretend that there aren't Black people that didn't care about what happened in Buffalo and also went to these NBA games, you're fooling yourselves. Yes, we can talk about how there are people who don't care about the situation and how fucked up their morality is, and we could also ask the question of what's going on in their life. Can they take the time to get on social media and see another travesty and actually want to talk about it? No, everybody not gonna want to talk about this thing, and that's perfectly fine. Guilt tripping people into doing it, getting on Twitch and saying, if you don't make your politics known, you're obviously placating to white supremacists, that doesn't hold up. People don't want to talk about it. People want to have that escape. Hey, maybe athletes want to have that escape. You can't just boil it down to, we don't care about the Black Americans and these Black athletes out there. They're not being asked these tough questions. How come nobody's asking them about Roe v. Wade? How come you're not sitting there getting their political opinions about Donald Trump? How come you're not asking if they voted for Joe Biden? Maybe because they're doing their job as a sports reporter, talking about the game, talking about an injury, talking about how the Suns got blown the fuck out in Game 7, talking about how Chris Paul should probably retire. All these different things that have to do with sports and not the political landscape of the world. I understand the frustration with not getting certain people you idolize talking about certain things, but if you guilt trip a bunch of people into doing it, you're going to see that more and more people don't actually care. They're just doing it to get it over with, and that's a sad situation. And to end this video, I just have to be the petty little bastard. Isn't it funny that I read this article about how the whites don't care about what happened in Buffalo, yet I could pull up many different examples of Black people doing things that are criminal and they should be put in jail for, and some of them should lose their life for, just like this piece of shit in Buffalo. And you got Black people just carrying on with their day like it's another day in the hood. But that's beside the point. Obviously, I have internalized racism. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.